Hey guys, so my fan's on again. I sat down. I'm not getting up. So you're gonna hear the whoosh. I'm sorry, but I'm tired. I just don't feel like getting up. But welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica, and this is going to be my favorite reads from March 2025. So, oh yeah, and also my stats. Anyway, let's just get into it. So I read 36 books in the month of March. I had 10 5-stars, 12 4.5 stars. I almost hit 11, but I finished one last night, right before midnight. Well, right before I went to bed, it was way before midnight, but I did finish it, so it went up to 12. And then 8 4-stars, 3.5 stars, 2 3-stars, and 1 reread. So I didn't get a lot of rereading done, which is sad, but because I love to reread, but it's whatever. Anyway, I also had 6 ARCs and or ALCs, depending on whatever book it was. You can see what I do if you follow me on my Instagram with my Instagram channel. I'm always posting what I'm doing over there. So if you just go to the stories, you'll see really what I'm doing day to day with my reading. If you're interested, check me out over on Instagram, and it is linked down below as always. Anyway, but let's go on to the format of them. So I've been trying to do more ebooks and physical books. In March, I didn't do as well as I did in February or January because I had 34 audiobooks and 2 ebooks, but at least I got 2 ebooks in. And then for genre or subgenre breakdown, I should say, because I generally read romance. However, I did have 1 thriller that was not romance, and I had 1 historical fiction that was not romance, and I had 1 cozy mystery that was not romance. So I'm getting better. But for all the romance books that I had, these are the subgenre breakdown. And so for historical, I have 2 contemporary, 11 2 sports, 6 romantic suspense, 1 mafia or MC, and it was Mafia, and it was delicious. I loved that book very much. And 6 paranormal romances, 5 romanticities, and that is it. So, oh, and no nonfiction, so it's whatever. Anyway, so I had a few favorite reads. The first 2 I'm not gonna really talk about, but they were 5 stars because I talked about them in a vlog. I linked a vlog down below, and I read The Women by Kristen Hanna. And if you want to see me break down emotionally, you can watch that video. March, I cried. I cried a lot in March. I don't know what it was with the books that I chose in March, but there was a few that I actually cried. And last year in 2024, I barely even teared up on any of the books. But for some reason, March, I couldn't stop crying over these books. It was kind of ridiculous. Anyhow, so The Women, I bawled. I did. Oh my gosh, the ending. It was a lot. But I gave that book 5 stars. I also gave Quicksilver 5 stars. I didn't cry on Quicksilver, so that's good. But I can see why he's considered a shadow daddy, so Kingfisher. And I really enjoyed that, and I'm excited for the next book to come out. And it's coming out at the end of this year, and I'm just very excited to get there. So I did tear up a little bit for Better for Her. This one is by Ava Hunter. I wanted to read this one, and then I heard some great things about it, and it was on one of my TBRs for Backlist because I wanted to read more Ava Hunter. So this one is Ash and Nathaniel. She broke up his wedding because she was paid to do it, and now 3 years later, she's a death doula, and she is the death doula for his grandfather who is dying of cancer. And that is one of the reasons why I did tear up, because that one was a little hard to read about. So yeah, because I have aging parents, so that's no fun. Anyhow, so she goes on vacation to Hawaii with Nathaniel and his family because she's trying to bridge the gap between his grandfather Augustus and the rest of his family, because she wants to make sure the rest of his family does what Augustus says, right? Because this is what his dying wish is. And so she's kind of like this goth girl. She's very into like paranormal stuff. She likes the ghost hunts and all that stuff. And so some people think she's a little morbid. I actually like the way she was portrayed, the way Ava Hunter wrote her. She was written well enough, like kind of a goth girl a little bit, and I really, really enjoyed her. She wasn't the stereotypical, not like other girls. She actually had depth to her. Anyway, so Nathaniel, when he sees her, he's like, he remembered her right away because, I mean, she broke up his marriage, his wedding. On his wedding day, she gave him proof that he was cheating, and yeah, that proof was rigged. Anyway, so she felt bad once it was rigged because she went through a breakup that really broke her, and because she was trying to change herself for another person, and the lesson was you can't change yourself for other people. But as Ash and Nathaniel were working together to help his grandfather Augustus, because Augustus loves Nathaniel very much, they ended up spending a lot more time together, and they were paired together, and then they end up having an enemies to benefits to love type of a situation. This was on vacation, so they had the summer vibes and stuff that you would want in a romance. Well, it being kind of morbid because, I mean, she's a death doula, but I absolutely loved how she advocated for Augustus, and I loved that Nathaniel advocated for her too. Like, his family wasn't completely horrible. I thought his family was going to be completely horrible, and they weren't. I really like this book. I love the pacing. I love the characters. I think this was a very interesting read, and it was unique enough that I'm just like, I'm here for it, and I loved it, and I did tear up a little bit at the end. Really, I did. The trauma with emotional tears started with the women, so this was maybe a byproduct of it. I don't know. I read it towards the beginning of the month, so I was sitting getting my hair done because I got some highlights in my hair. My sister did that for my birthday because March was my birthday month, so she sent me to the hairdressers, which I was very happy about. So after I was finished For Better For Worse, I read Merit. And this one is the fourth book in Devney Perry's Wildcat Treasure State Wildcat series. I thought Maverick was going to be a jackass. Like, I really thought he was going to be a jackass. Like, I was like, because he really was. Like, in the third book, I kind of hated his guts. So Stevie and Maverick, they hated each other since they were 10 years old. His family and her family are like best friends. So his mother is dying of cancer, and it feels like for her, it feels like her mother is dying of cancer, right? His mother wants them together, so they fake date for his mother, but it went from hating each other to fake dating to actually falling in love with each other. And you actually see the human side of Maverick, especially with him trying to deal with the fact that he was losing his mother, who he's very close to. Stevie was also very close to his mother, as well as she was having some problems with her father. And I really loved the character growth. I loved the romance. I thought it was really well done. Both Stevie and Maverick grew, like, they grew as characters. I absolutely love them, and I was really excited to read this. But yes, I did tear up, especially after the part where his mother passed, and then how he had to deal with it because he had to deal with his own trauma. And he knew he did wrong, and he groveled. It was fantastic. This is my favorite book in the, I always saying this wrong. It's the Treasure State Wildcat series. I always want to say the Wildcat Treasure State. I don't know why, but anyway, I'm definitely, this one, I did definitely cry when I read it. So it was very good. I highly recommend that one. So a Nora Roberts book that I did read. So Eve Benedict, she was this legendary actress. It was part of the golden time of Hollywood with like Greta Garbo and Clark Gable and all the people, right? Well, because this takes place, I think, in the 90s, because it was written in the early 90s, and you can tell it was written in the early 90s. However, she also had a lot of dirt on people. She knew too much about people, right? She knew everybody's secrets. She knew where the bodies were buried. The metaphorical and the physical bodies were buried. She knew it all, right? So she decides that she has to write her memoir, but she's going to have a ghostwriter. So she hires Julia Summers as the ghostwriter. So she flies Julia and her son out because they're going to be living in her pool house. Some of the stuff that she starts talking. So there's some flashbacks from Eve's story in the past and how she became a very legendary actress and a very sultry actress. Like she has some secrets of her own, but some people were trying to stop her from writing this book, to the point where they were threatening Eve. They were threatening more so Julia, and even Eve's stepson from one of her 4 marriages. I think it was 4. He didn't want her to write this book either, but he was willing to give Julia a chance, and he's the hero. He's a little bit of an alpha hero type guy. He's the quintessential Nora Roberts hero. I actually did not mind him. I thought he was well written. He actually had reasons for why he didn't want this memoir to be written. He didn't want it to be written because he wanted to protect Eve. And that he had no skeletons, he just wanted to protect her. His father, who was her ex-husband, wanted to protect her too. But someone ends up killing Eve. And Julia ends up being put on trial for the murder. And Julia was not the murderer. And that's all I'm going to say, because you should go read this book. It is very well done. It is a great romantic suspense. Like, the suspense is great in this. And you get a lot of the angsty messiness that comes with Hollywood gossip and all this stuff. It was a lot of fun. And yes, it shows its age with some things. However, if you can get past it, I highly recommend it. It is fantastic. The suspense plot is really, really well done. I did not know who was going to be the murderer until the very, very end. It was cleverly done. Highly recommend it. You should go read it. I also read Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I did give this 5 stars. I stand by that 5 stars. I think it was fantastic. I love Rhys and I love Tabitha, and I love them apart and I love them together. I love that he is a professional wrestler and that he hid it from everybody. But when she found out about it, she was like, oh, this is awesome. And she wasn't weird about it. I loved how Rhys and Tabby, were trying to protect her nephew, Milo. When they didn't realize that they were being lied to by Tabitha's now deceased sister, Erica. I had a bit of a problem with that, simply because I'm like, that type of character, jail. Jail. Need to go to jail. I do not like characters like that. However, it actually was a very good antagonist to the story, because they went from enemies to friends to lovers, and it was love. I really liked how Elsie wrote Erica's motivation. That's it. I really liked how Elsie wrote Erica's motivations and why she lied and did what she did, and then she died. I really loved Rhys as a character, and I loved Tabitha as a heroine. She was very strong. I love a good strong heroine, and Tabitha was a very strong heroine. I absolutely loved her. She was fantastic. I loved Milo as a kid character. He was well written. Like, Elsie can really write a good kid character, and Rhys was definitely swoony as a wrestler. I thought it was very funny. I was very entertained by his wrestling scenes. I thought they were funny. I was here for it. It was such a good time. And I'm giving that book 5 stars, and I stand by that 5 stars. I really liked how Elsie wrote these characters, and I really liked the conflict. I liked the romance. The whole thing just worked for me. So yeah, that one is definitely a 5 stars. And then I have to talk about 2 more books that made me cry stupid, ugly tears. And the first one is Scattered Bones. Listen, Scattered Bones is not going to be for everyone, because this is told in past present. Most of the romance happens in the past. And the reason why it happens in the past is because she's looking for her deceased husband's body parts. So this is very graphic. So be aware, if you can't handle gore, this might not be the book for you. If you can handle the way it was written as well as the graphic, this book would definitely be for you, because the pining, like, they pined for each other, because our heroine Sela, she was promised to a goddess. Her body was, so she wasn't there for as a person. She was there as a vessel. So no one could or would touch her, because they couldn't sully her in any way, shape, or form. And walked a thief named Cade, and he falls in love with her. And she falls in love with him as he's teaching her how to, like, pick locks and do all the things. And they really bonded. And then he's like, I love you. And she really loved him. And so she was giving up her service to a goddess, like the goddess of the gods. Like, she is the main goddess, right? Anyway, so knowing that, they still got married in secret. And then War, and this, as well as this goddess, punished him by decapitating him, like cut off his head, cut off his arms, everything, and scattered his body parts in different evil places. So she meets a stranger, and the stranger's like, I can help you get your husband back. And I can help you if you go get his body parts, because she saved his torso. If you get his body parts, I can help you get him back. So she goes on this quest to get her husband's body parts. And so we know in the past that they fell in love and that this happens. And we know that in the present, she is trying to find his head, she's trying to find his legs, his arms, and everything, right? And she's getting them, but the last biggest piece is his head, because she needs to be able to prove that she can do this. And I really liked this book. It made me cry, because that one scene where he sacrificed himself to keep her safe, oh, I cried. I did cry on this one. And I don't care about gore. Gore doesn't bother me. But I do care about good character growth. I do care about a fantastic love story, and this was it. And like, the way they just knew they were soulmates, and I just loved it. Like, she was on a quest to save her husband as he had saved her, just in this little different forms, right? So if you can handle it, I highly recommend it. The audiobook is fantastic. I highly recommend the audiobook. In fact, actually, I had to go out and buy this book because I loved it so much. I needed it on my shelf. And that's very rare that I actually do that for a book. Another book that made me cry like a freaking baby was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This could have been my favorite book, but I hated this book at the same time as how much I loved it. Okay? I hated the book because it could absolutely happen. And what Snow and Panem did to Hamish Abernathy was just evil. And what he had to go through, and what the whole of them had to go through, was just so horrible. I cried at the end. And I knew it was going to be brutal. Before anybody even posted anything, I knew. And the reason why I knew, because there was spoilers in the Hunger Games. Like, we knew that he lost his entire family after he won the games, that he shouldn't have won the games, and we knew that something had driven him to drink. And then at the very beginning, we knew he had a girlfriend named Lenora Dove. I was like, okay, she's not surviving. Either she's going to go in the games and not survive, or something else is going to happen. And I died on that one. That one was really hard to read because it was so sad, like what happened to him. Same thing with the trilogy, like the first Hunger Games made me cry a lot. It was a hard one to get through. Anyhow, that one I really loved. I think it's a great book. It's 5 stars, and it's going to be on my top rates, but I cannot give it the top spot simply because I equally love it and I equally loathe the story, because the story is so hard to read. But I loved it. It's kind of like Manacled. It is, because I've read Manacled, and it's one of those where I loved the book. I loved the characters. I loved everything, but I did not like how people treated the characters. And that's all I'm going to say about that one. The first one I'm going to talk about is Whispers and Wildfires by Claire Kingsley. This was supposed to be on my April TBR. I got the ALC and the physical arc, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna read it right now. I really, as soon as it hit, I was reading that book. And the ALC did not disappoint. My gosh. So Aaron Mallon and a new guy, Marco Catalano. So good. And Robert Hatchett, which I've heard a few of his things. He voiced the villain, and oh, he gave me the shivers. Like, he really did. He gave me the shivers. There was one scene, yes, it creeped me out significantly. And this one is about Luke Haven and Melanie, and they were high school sweethearts, but they were both very immature and did and said stupid things, because that's what teenagers do. And she left Telecom, And after their breakup, because they just, for some reason, because they were teenagers, they did not communicate. So she comes back to Tilcom. She's divorced and she is a voice actor, and she does some of the best voices, right? Erin Mallon did a fantastic job as Melanie. She really did. So she needs a job to tie her over because she has a non-compete clause. Because the whole thing with non-compete clauses. Anyway, so she needs a job to tie her over because her divorce basically drained her bank account because her ex-husband was a jackass. And anyway, she goes to work for Luke because she's friends with his sister. And at first they are acting like spoiled toddlers, and they were just kind of yelling at each other. I was like, what are you two doing? And they even recognized that they were being idiots. And I appreciated that recognition. I really did, because then they were able to start working with each other, and they started communicating things that they should have communicated back when, but also they were so pining for each other, and they were so jealous of everything that their other person did. Like when one went on a date, the other one was like, oh, well, I'm gonna go on a date, right? And of course they got jealous over that. So Luke is into street racing, and she didn't like it, but she didn't say, you can't do that. And I actually appreciate that. She was not trying to change him. She loved him for who he was. And she is very much ADHD. Like, I appreciated the ADHD rep on this one. I don't know if she meant to do it on if Claire Kingsley meant to do it on purpose or not, but I kind of felt seen with, because sometimes I can be a lot, and people were saying in this that Melanie could definitely be a lot. I really loved her character. She was fantastic. However, 10 years before, she was kidnapped, and she managed to get away by punching the dude in the junk and she ran and was able to find help. So 10 years later, because it's 10 years later, now someone is, and we know who it is, because this is where it gets good. So we know who the villain is the whole time. They don't, and I love it when Nora Roberts does this a lot. She does, and Claire Kingsley did this. Kristen Proby also did this with Shadows, which I highly recommend Shadows. Anyhow, the way he narrated the villain was so strategic, and just like, I did not feel bad for this dude. Like, this dude was a bad guy, but he was also very creepy. And I really loved Robert Hatchett in this book. Like, he did a good job. Anyhow, the romance was so well done. It was well paced. I believed that they loved each other, and I loved how when she was talking about things that happened in the past and how other people treated her, he's like, no, doesn't matter to me. Only you matter to me. And I love that. I love the whole small town of Tilcom. Like, Tilcom has some of the best characters. They're quirky and they're odd, but they're so much fun. But they didn't overpower the romance. They didn't overpower the suspense plot in this. I thought it was well paced. I feel like Claire Kingsley is getting better at writing romantic suspense. She's really coming into her own, and this is the best book in the series. I loved Luke Haven as a hero. He was not going to wait around for people to get their act together. He went after his girl, and there's a reason why. There's a whole purpose why it's called Whispers and Wildfire, and you're gonna have to read the book, and it comes out on April 10th. I want to say April 10th. I think it's April 10th. Let me look. Let me look. Yep, April 10th. It's gonna come out on April 10th. You need to pick up this audiobook. Just trust me on this. Go pick up the audiobook. You will not be disappointed. This one, so well done. I love the suspense plot so much in Whispers and Wildfire. I loved the characters. I loved the romance. It was so much quirkiness, so much fun. I loved that book, and I loved how she wrote the villain. Like, the way she put the point of view through. Like, everything was just pitch perfect in that book. The reason why I gave the top spot to Beautiful Exile is because of Arden, and the way she had a knife to Link's throat when they met, and he started calling her vicious. The wit and the banter in this book is so fantastic. I loved the suspense plot. I did guess who the villain is in this one. I did guess it. pretty early on, but it didn't diminish my enjoyment of this book. I love the character growth and the romance between Link and Arden. They are just so good together. I loved being back in Sparrow Falls with Lolly and all of the characters that we've gotten to know so far with the Coulson clans. I loved the romance and how it was well paced with the suspense plot. I loved how Arden was very closed off and stuff, and for good reason. She witnessed her parents' murder 14 years ago, and she was originally in the witness protection program, but she didn't stay in there because she really wanted to have a life she wanted to live. And so she's sort of a well-known artist, but on her terms. She will not give interviews, be on camera, etc. And for obviously good reasons, because someone is trying to kill her. They're sending assassins trying to kill her, right? Because she saw her parents murder. And I think her father was a judge, and so that was sort of an assassination. Anyhow, I loved how everything wound up in this book. The romance, the banter, the suspense plot, it all worked perfectly. But what this tipped over from Whispers and Wildfires, because I cannot find fault with either of those books, okay? The reason why this tipped over was the meet cute. Because that meet cute was so good. Like, I loved that meet cute because I have never read a meet cute quite like that before. When I find a meet cute or something unique in a romance novel, I have to give it props. I have to give it credit. Catherine Cowles can write great characters. She can write great romantic suspense. The romance is fantastic. It does not overshadow the suspense and vice versa. For me, it's always that pace for me. I did guess who the villain is early on in this book, but it did not spoil it for me. I was okay with it because I was like, oh yeah, it made perfect sense. And same with Claire Kingsley's book. Like, it made perfect sense, and she's not overpowering the romance with the subplot or the suspense plot and vice versa. But the reason why Beautiful Exile is number one is because Arden. I love a strong, badass heroine who will kick ass. So yes, those are my favorite 5 stars. I am going to start a new thing, and you'll see this on Saturday, where I'm going to talk about some of my favorite 4.5 stars. I'm probably not talking about all of them because that's a lot to talk about. But I will talk about some that I really think you would enjoy, that you should read. Let me know if you've read any of these down below. Are you excited to read Whispers and Wildfires? Did you cry at the end of Sunrise on the Reaping Tomb? Because, my gosh, I did. I'm still traumatized over that. If you made it this far in this video and you want to let me know that you're here, but you don't want to say anything, please leave me I think there's a rainbow emoji. Leave me a rainbow emoji, because we are now in April. Holy crap. Anyway, until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.